All right, so again, what are we thinking about? There's no such thing as a free lunch here. If somebody takes you out to eat, then obviously they're paying for your lunch. But what are you giving up in order for you to be able to go do that lunch? What are you giving up in order to have that free lunch? Your time, right? What I mean by there's no such thing as a free lunch, guys, is that literally everything that you do, there is a choice being made. Does that make sense? So, for example, when you leave this room here in about 30 minutes, you're going to make a decision to go left or right out of here. What are you giving up in order to go left?
The right.
Whatever may be happening on the right. You understand what I mean? You gave up your entire wardrobe today to wear what you have on. You gave up sleep this morning to come listen to me talk about scarcity and opportunity cost. Does that make sense? So there is everything you do. There's no such thing as a free lunch. All right? So we're going to talk about scarcity and opportunity cost and how it basically affects everything. Okay? So what are our essential questions? The first thing that I would jot down in my notes is that number one. What is scarcity? Or I'd write down scarcity with a question mark. And we're going to give you the definition for it. Okay? So scarcity. Jace kind of hit on it a second ago. Scarcity is when you have a low amount of something. So basically, your SOL is asking you, how do consumers, which are who? Does anybody know what a consumer is?
The buyer.
People who buy things. People like us, right? How businesses or producers and how the government handles scarcity. Scarcity, guys, the first thing that I would like for you to write down underneath what is scarcity is it makes everyone make choices. And I would underline the word choices. It makes everyone make choices. And you're going to understand what I mean by that here in a second. All right? Makes everyone make choices. All right. Here's a couple of examples. If I go and buy something and let's say I go to Walmart and I'm a big Doritos fan. I think if you guys listen to that video that I gave to my first block, we used Doritos, my 8A class. If I'm a big Doritos fan and I'm used to paying $2.50 a bag for Doritos at Walmart, and then I roll into Walmart one day and all the Doritos are gone, or if there's only 2 or 3 bags of Doritos, but instead of it being $2.50, they've raised the price to $5. Am I going to buy Doritos? Probably not, because what have they done to the price? They've raised it, right? So it's going to make me make a decision on whether or not I want to buy Doritos or if I buy some other type of chip. You guys with me? So scarcity makes us make choices. Same thing for a business. Let's say I'm a business that produces cars. One of my biggest things is going to be metal, right? Well, I'm going to have to buy that metal from a company. If I'm used to buying metal for a certain price, and then all of a sudden that company gets a low amount of it, their supply goes down, and they raise their prices, I may have to look other places to buy metal. You guys understand that? So, if you'll notice up there, I've got it bolded, it says scarcity is the condition that exists when there are not enough resources to satisfy all of the competing uses. So, in your notes, put down that scarcity exists when there is not enough resources to satisfy everyone. That's how I would write it. We're going to slow it down a little bit or make it easier to understand. Scarcity exists when there is not enough resources to satisfy everyone. And here's what I need you guys to understand about that. If scarcity makes people make choices, is that a good thing or a bad thing for the economy? It could end up being bad, because if you don't get enough of the supply back, it could affect jobs, it could affect people's lives. So it's a big deal, okay? Scarcity is a big deal. says it exists because human wants for goods and services exceed the quantity of goods and services that can be produced from all available resources. So basically, guys, we want more stuff than what we are able to produce. You guys with me? And to give you an example of something that will fall into your place, how many of y'all play video games? Yeah. Most of the time when a new video game comes out, how much is it worth? Or how much are companies trying to sell it for? 60, 70 bucks, right? Most of the time. That's today. If that game comes out brand new today, it's 60 or $70. What can I buy that game for 8 months from now?
Like 30.
Like 30. Why? Because when it originally came out, what's the demand for that game?
Really high.
Really high. Everybody wants it, right? So the companies can raise their prices on those games and make money off of us, correct? Now, 8 months down the road, that product may not be worth as much. The demand for it will go down. Well, if demand goes down, what is happening to the supply of that product? It's going up, right? So what do businesses do in order to move it off their shelves? They lower the price. Okay? So, it says scarcity is the condition of not being able to have all the goods and services one wants. It exists because humans' want for goods and services exceed the quantity of goods and services that can be produced from all available resources. Basically, guys, scarcity is when there is not enough of something and it affects people. If there's not enough of it, what are the businesses going to do to prices? They're going to raise them to try to hold on to that small amount that they have until they get more of it. You guys understand that? So that's scarcity. Is that pretty simple? Does that make sense? All right. The next question says, why do choices result in opportunity cost? And that's where we're at now. So somewhere on your paper, write down opportunity cost. Oh, I'm sorry. I gave you some examples of scarcity, and I used them in a broader sense. You may want to jot these down. If you have land scarcity, that means you have a shortage of fertile land and you can't produce enough food. If you can't produce enough food, will people go without? Yeah, that could be a huge problem. You could also have water scarcity. Global warming can change the weather, causes parts of the world to remain dry. If people have water shortages, that's scarce. People, that's going to hurt what they got to do. Labor shortages, if you don't have enough people to work, you're not going to be able to produce as much. If you're not going to be able to produce as much, you're not going to be able to sell as much. You don't make as much money. Healthcare shortages, you guys should know a little bit about that one. Did we have to send a bunch of nurses and things to New York to try to help with the pandemic that's been going on? Yeah, because they didn't have enough people staffed to fix the problem. And then the last one I put there is seasonal shortages, like in the winter time, people clearing roads. If you don't have enough people clearing roads with the snow, it's going to back everything up, keep some things closed. Does anybody have any questions about scarcity? We good there? Yes, no?